Hi, I'm Jessica Woll, the author of The Wise Divorce, and this is my YouTube channel, The Wise Divorce. Today, we're going to talk about Chapter 8 of my book, which is the practical cost of divorce. So what does that mean? It means that you need to consider certain things once you've made the decision to file for divorce. First of all, you've interviewed 3 attorneys, hopefully, and you're deciding between the 3. I'm going to tell you that I think you get what you pay for. This is a huge decision in your life, especially if you have a marital estate that is substantial, needs to be divided, or you have minor children to consider in terms of what's going to be the most appropriate parenting schedule for them once you're divorced from your spouse. So don't cut corners on this. Hire an expert. You can find attorneys out there that do flat fee divorces. That's for a case where you've been married maybe a minute and you have no assets and you have no minor children together. That might be okay. Other than that, just remember you get what you pay for. I wouldn't be penny wise and pound foolish when it comes to, this very important decision that will affect the rest of your life. So be smart about that. If you have a parenting issue on your hands, hire an expert, that specializes in parenting time. Make sure that your divorce attorney also knows how to litigate. They actually need to be able to try your case, although the fact is that the chances of you going to trial in your case are very, very small. But you want someone that can handle anything and gives you confidence and you feel like someone's really a fighter in your corner. So again, do not cut corners when it comes to the right choice. Go with the person that you in your gut feel is a good fit, that is knowledgeable and makes you comfortable that you really have someone, again, in your corner fighting for you. Also, a word of caution in terms of the financial cost of divorce. You do not want to use your divorce attorney as your therapist. Therapists often are covered by insurance, and there's certainly much less money hourly, even if they're not covered by insurance, than your attorney. So your attorney's there to get all the cards on the table, make sure there's a good deal to be had for you, and help you with, figuring out everything that needs to be divided and navigating what's going to happen with your children. A therapist is there to deal with the emotional toll of the divorce, to help you through that. So let's not confuse the two. That's important. The next thing what you need to remember is that you need to do discovery in your case to get all the cards on the table. So you know exactly what there is to divide in terms of assets and liabilities. So that can be done formally if you feel that you and your spouse can't work that out yourselves. Maybe you do have a really good handle on your finances already, and you can get the cards on the table without a lot of involvement from your attorneys. But just make sure when you're sitting down to actually come up with a settlement that you know all the ins and outs of your case in terms of the assets and liabilities. I would also tell you, divorce is not always fair. So what does that mean? That means that you want to keep as much of the control between you and your spouse as you can. You want to do the decision making. Of course, you want to be armed with knowledge from your attorney, and you want to feel some emotional stability from a good therapist if that makes sense for you. But you have to understand that there's going to be a trade-off. There's going to be some compromises. Courts are not going to make you whole for staying in a marriage that was unhealthy, where, let's say, your spouse withheld funds from you, and all of a sudden you feel that you should be entitled to all kinds of rights to the wrongs by a judge that you put up with during your marriage. It's not going to happen. Your reward is to actually just get divorced from this person that doesn't work for you anymore. So understand that. Also understand that if you and your spouse do not reach agreements that are crucial to the settlement of your case, you're going to be giving that control over to a perfect stranger. Now, that's our judge assigned to your case. So you don't want this person making major life decisions for you if you can help it. You really want to try to work with your spouse to make major decisions affecting the rest of your life, right? Often interim decisions, for instance, are made by a judge if you and your spouse can't agree by only hearing from your attorney for maybe 5 minutes on an interim issue. You want to avoid that. So a good way to possibly avoid that is to do early mediation. If your case is really becoming acrimonious early and you are going down the wrong path and you're spending lots of money, you can agree, if your spouse will agree, to go to a neutral third-party mediator to try to resolve interim issues. That person will become intimately involved with your case and can help ultimately, when all the cards are on the table with that discovery, help you make a final resolution of everything. Also, if you have problems with your kids, a therapist is really good for that as well. and maybe even a parenting coordinator. A parenting coordinator is going to kind of help the two of you compromise and come up with parenting schedules that make the most sense for your kids. Because again, you want to make sure you're child-centric at all time, and that's what controls what you decide with regard to your children. You always want to be looking at what's in their best interest. So thanks for listening today on these tips on the financial cost of divorce, and I will see you soon on The Wise Divorce.